Can anybody here tell me what is the fastest growing language in the world? Anybody? No. What? Chinese? No. What? Esperanto? No. No. But good. I don't even know if that was a good try. Hindi? No. Texting? No. You know, you're not even getting close. Gee, go ahead. Anybody else? Going once. No, but good try. All this is good. It's waking you up. The fastest growing language in the world is sign language. And and as you know, people who suffer from seeing eye impairments, such as blindness and cataract, use something now considered a lost art of language called sign language. I'm amazed at how certain. Anybody know sign language? Anybody here knows a bit of sign language? It's a universal understanding, and it's for every language. And I'm very impressed by that. Then there are the people who they don't have others around them. Maybe you have seen this. Braille. Have you ever seen Braille? Maybe you're as amazed as I am. It's a touch of your fingertips on the page of the bumps that are risen on the paper. And right away, a person doing that can, without hesitation, because they've had a lot of practice, they can tell exactly what's on the page, what is trying to be communicated. That's Braille. That started from a young man named Louis Braille, because he had an accident. He was a Frenchman. He lost his sight in 1824, and he developed this code based on the French alphabet as an improvement for reading and writing. Well, I think it's amazing to be able to do that. And it's still today. People still use it today. I have friends who are blind, and they still use Braille, and they read the paper, and every publication, everything that they have is all written out in Braille. Now, when I'm driving through the ATM machine, I noticed something very interesting. Maybe you did too. I'm putting my little plastic in there, and I'm going to get a withdrawal, or I'm going to make a deposit. I'm going to do something. But I noticed something right there in the machine. There's Braille. And I stop and I think, now, why would there be Braille in an ATM drive-through? And that's just what it was. And you go now to your ATM machine, you look for the Braille. It's right there. Well, I found out. See, curious me. Nosy me, really. I found out that the reason that it's there in the drive-thru is not to encourage blind people to go through. No. But that all the ATM machines are made that way, and some of them are used for the cars, and some of them are used for the walk-ups. So that explained all that. And I should have come to that conclusion anyway, but I wanted to hear it from the bank themselves that what the reality was. That was a feature. Now, in discussing Braille or discussing sign language, people develop a rapid ability to comprehend with lightning speed what people are communicating. Now, sign language, when you have two people, can speak to each other in full sentences. I'm amazed at that, and how much is spoken, And I don't know if you've ever seen people who are public speakers. Right next to them are now people who conduct sign language so people who cannot hear can actually know what the speaker is saying. That, to me, is amazing. Conversation itself is a fundamental aspect of human interaction. It holds immense value in our lives. It serves as a means of communication, a connection, an understanding, a growth, if you will. Through conversation, we're able to share our thoughts, our emotions, our experiences, our ideas with others, creating a sense of community and belonging. One of the most important values of conversation is the ability to foster relationships and build connections with other people. By engaging in meaningful conversations, we're able to establish bonds with friends, with families, with colleagues, and even strangers. These interactions help us to build trust and empathy and understanding and lead to a stronger and more fulfilling relationship, hopefully. Conversation also plays a crucial role in enhancing our communication skills. Through dialogue, we are able to practice active listening and express our thoughts clearly, effectively. And we learn how to engage in respectful and constructive communication. Most of us don't have that ability. Are you surprised by that? Most of us don't. Oh, you're not. Whoever said no. These skills are essential for navigating the complexities of social interactions and building successful relationships, professionally and personally. Moreover, conversation provides us with a platform for self-expression and personal growth. When you share your thoughts and your feelings and your experiences with others, we're able to gain new perspective and insights into the knowledge through open and honest dialogue. And then we're able to reflect our beliefs, challenge our assumptions, and expand our understanding of the world around us. Now, in addition, conversation is a tool for learning and intellectual stimulation. So by engaging in discussions with others, we're able to exchange ideas, explore viewpoints, and deepen our understanding of various topics and issues. Through dialogue, we're able to broaden our horizons. I don't know if this year they're going to have a debate between the two presidential candidates. Every time I watch the news, yes, it's on, no, it's off, yes, it's on, no, it's off. Forget it, because whenever they have a debate, it's never really a debate. It's always a chance to trip the other person up. And it really is not what it is intended to do, which is to share information. And that's lost way down the line. When we communicate in a way that's critical, we're able to cultivate a love of learning, and we're able to get our point of the view across. We're able to absorb information from the other person. It allows us to connect with other people, to improve our communication skills. By embracing the value of conversation in our lives, we can cultivate these relationships. We can expand knowledge and enrich our experience. The reason that I'm saying that is because that's lacking today, very seriously. Most people, maybe you have this experience, they talk at you. They don't talk with you, they talk at you. And you're only waiting until the person stops so you can talk and get your point across. So what are we essentially? We are human beings. Anybody know the rest of it? Homo sapiens, right? Well, I'm going to add something to that. We are Homo loquens, speaking animals. We speak the world into existence. The whole of civilization and sophistication depends on language. I mean, right there in the good book, that everybody quotes. The book of Genesis. People addicted to the new icon view that Genesis is poetry. For here we read about some pretty bad theology in the midst of some worse biblical scholarship about how their God speaks and the world into being, saying, "Let there be light." Well, those same scholars have, by and large, mostly conceded that in the prologue of John, Jesus himself is the linguistic incarnation. God's best word became flesh and dwelt among us, full of grace and peace, they say. The story of the Tower of Babel is meant to show that when language fails, human communication, therefore cooperation, is impossible. These days, the tragedy is not confusion, but silence. People in motion, zombie-like, in glass houses in which no one dares to throw a stone or a word. From the very moment we enter this world, we learn quickly that human beings make sounds to reach out to one another. But we are assured that a face will follow the sound, because the world is an acoustical cause and effect. It's the ear that welcomes the footsteps of the world. The dog barks, the thunder rolls, the screen door bangs out a hyphenated greeting. Sound is a messenger and an interpreter. Long before our culture opted for the visual over the auditory, it was an acoustical highway traveled by an imagined overseeing deity. People dedicated their lives believing all of this to be true in the ear of the prophet, in the narrative of the water well, and even in the ringing simplicity of things like the Sermon on the Mount. Rather than debate the issue of what is made up and what is pure revelation, what is most important to remember is the goal has remained the same. All we must do, I think, is to put conversation back where it belongs, at the center of human life. I mean, when's the last time you communicated with somebody effectively? I bet you that's hard for you to come up with. It is for me. Noise pollution is as serious as air and water pollution. The world is full of noise, but starved for meaningful discourse. There's plenty of clatter, plenty of droning, the kind that spills from the airport public address speakers, and always, the speaker is always right over my head. I don't know why I sit in the one spot that the speaker, and she has like a way of speaking. Attention! Flight number, oh gosh, it's really hard on the ears. And then you listen to talk radio. None of us listen to talk radio, right? Yeah, sure. The insults that are over there, over talk radio. Very little communication. In fact, the American home has become the noisiest place of utter silence on earth. And I think one big reason for that is what? One big reason why that is so is what? What? TV. Television. Oh, there you go. You got your cell phone. Yeah, cell phones, TV. Media, right? It's replaced the linguistic impulse. I know for me it has. There you are. When I was over there at your house, I couldn't stop watching those YouTube video things. I couldn't get out of the car. I was like, wait, just one more. Maybe you're like me. I don't know. It's replaced the linguistic impulse. And it turns faces away from each other and toward the mosaic monologue that's entertainment. The art of conversation began to wither and die when we moved from the dining room table to the living room couch. Pretty hard to get off that couch. When the television medium began, we listened passively to other people talking. and there was no place for us to speak our lines. We laughed at other people being funny. We cried when others were sad. We cheered our sports heroes as if we were playing the game. As the flickering light of the tube reflected the zombie-like faces of a whole generation, the sound of families being families, arguing, teasing, cajoling, encouraging, setting and testing boundaries, investigating one another's feelings, and telling stories faded to black. The extent of this silence in a world of racket is so far advanced that drastic measures are needed. Love cannot survive silence. Children cannot grow apart from the words that bridge their fears. And adults cannot rehearse and refine their relationship if they never hear the sound of the voices they love caressing the moment. In a world where divorce is commonplace, it's no secret that marriages not only end in silence, but they end by silence. Conversation is the currency of passion. It's the courier of concern. To be listened to really be listened to, really, and to be heard is so fundamental to the renewal of intimacy that it has become a desperate refrain of our time. You're probably ahead of me when I ask the obvious. What then is the first move in the recovery of what we know the quality of life, of simple pleasures? What should the first thing be to do? That we should do? We should cut the cord of the TV or just pull it out. Dare I say, the televisions, the cultural IV bottle that drips its anxiety and terror into the sanctity of sacred space and keeps us all drugged with impossible images of the unattainable life. That is to say, by action and not sentiment alone, you refuse to let yourself be shown how to look, how to act, and what to wear. For only when the blue light of the television fades will people get to know themselves again. I find it very interesting. People that I know who I can communicate with and people that I know I can't for one reason or another. The midnight of artificial images gives way to the sunlight of our individual consent to the lives of the beautifully real and true. And if you can't bring yourself to turn the TV off or manage something as radically extracting, then at least make a pledge to regard the television set as an enemy of the spirit, a seductive, anesthetizing intruder upon all that is real and rewarding about the proxemics of family life. How many hours do you think people spend watching television? How many hours? Is it 1 hour? How about 2 hours? 3 hours? It's at least 8. 8 hours of watching television. I'm guilty. I'll just watch a TV show or a TV something, and I know that that's less than reading, but I'll do it nonetheless. We avoid these things that kill conversation because we like the fact that it does intrude upon our conversation. Conversation requires some effort. And in my humble opinion, whatever kills conversation should be arrested, detained, and permanently imprisoned. If you can't come to this resolve and be strict about it, a certain disconcerting silence will descend upon your home. The sound of canned laughter will vanish, along with the sound of applause on command. You ever watch those shows, those sitcoms? The narcissism, the droning narcissism of those sitcoms, the bullets and break glass of our love-hate relationship with violence, the electronic freak shows that dominate the daytime TV, all hushed with a simple push of the button. Off. I have a confession to make. And when I was a child, I was a Roman Catholic. And when I was in Catholic catechism class, we had Mother Superior. I was trying to figure her name for this sermon. I don't remember her name anymore. Mother Superior decreed children should be seen and not heard. Well, I hope I never see or hear from Mother Superior again. But she was right about one thing. I'll give her this. She believes silence was golden. I'm all for it, after having a few of my own. In many respects, silence is indeed golden. But first, it's a little bit frightening. Left to ourselves, and in the fertile empty space which quietness creates. I remember those days. Remember those days when we were afraid that we were all going to be vaporized by nuclear bombs? Remember that? And teachers would lead you out to the middle of the hallway with a book over your head. I did it, so I know that it happened. And you were supposed to bow your head down, and the sister that was leading our class, I forget her name too. Gee whiz, I wish I didn't. But she would strictly say, single file, in order. We're going to have an orderly Holocaust. And even then, I knew, wait, there's something wrong with this. It's a little bit difficult. I'll tell you one thing. It's very hard to live with quietness. And I experienced that with Milo. So many people came up to me to offer me a condolence. And I'm so thankful. But they keep talking. And, it's okay. They can't live with silence. It's too awkward for them. They can't say nothing. Because they got to say something. So they say things that are wrong. Or they say something that doesn't have anything to do with the conversation or with ourselves. All reflection, in a sense, is predicated on the embrace of emptiness. Until we spend some time with silence, we can hardly claim that breaking it is worthwhile. All of this requires a real change of lifestyle. At first, a lack of practice will masquerade awkwardness. I'm sure you've had this experience to your children. I have. How was your day at school today? And the answer, fine. Then you ask your spouse, how was your day, dear? Okay. Until the art of conversation is revised, lots of well-intentioned starts are going to sputter and die. But conversation, like all the best things in life, cannot be forced. It develops best when children and adults together overhear it being practiced in ways that are genuine, that are probing, that are spirited, where children are allowed. I always wondered what President John F. Kennedy had that caused the press corps to like him so much. They loved the guy. He had an uncanny ability to read the pulse of the press corps when he was speaking. He knew who was with him and who wasn't with him. It was very interesting to watch him work at his press conferences. Well, one woman assigned to the White House was sure to call on her because she would ask the most incredible questions. One time she asked if he knew that there was a light out on 14th Street and that was important to fix that light. And he agreed. I agree. We should have that light on 14th Street fixed. And all of the other reporters couldn't contain their laughter. That he was agreeing with her and how to fix it. That was the key. But imagine asking the president of the entire free world, what about that light fixture on 14th Street? Well, one time she was really in a rare mood. And she was talking about the value of women and the value that we ought to have more women. That what are we doing for women? Because women are helping. And she ended her little question to the president. He sat there very, very patiently, and she went on and on and on in the long question. And And she says, so, Mr. President, what is this administration doing for women? And then she sat down, and everybody wanted to see how he was going to answer it. And he said, well, I'm sure it's not enough. Roars of laughter and smiles. Yeah, what I'm segueing into here is the hot button topic, which has become a tired old bromide. Do not mix politics with religion. One would be well advised to remember the premise that underlies it. These are important things, and they deal with what Maslow calls core values. That's why they should be talked about all the time, especially in the home. Very important. How passion is made contagious. What are you passionate about, and what have you ever spoken to people about? My guess is, on the spur of the moment, you probably would have difficulty sharing that which is what you're passionate about, to maybe acquaint others with what's important to you. So if a child or someone learning is allowed to join in to that conversation, they become more than a table decoration themselves. They have a part to play in the drama, and that's growing up. If his or her ideas count, then he or she counts. The children gain essential access to adulthood by being given a safe place to speak and by rehearsing their thoughts out loud before the most patient and supportive audience they will ever know. Remember my son, Jeremy, which you probably will meet in January when he brings his presentation here. Jeremy was in the 5th grade, and he wanted to do well. He thought he had it all set up. Only Jeremy could come up with this. The teacher said, now, class, maybe that was the sister that was in my class. I don't know, but what is the Soviet Union? What did they call the Soviet Union before it broke up? Or what do they call it now? And what she was looking for was Russia. And what Jeremy gave to her, okay, Jeremy, because he knew we were in the back watching, and so he got up there and he said, what they call the Soviet Union now is the USS was. True story. What is the resolve? Resolve to talk more and be entertained less. If you're at the head of your household, throw a log on the fire of conversation, and your children will inevitably migrate from their own form of solitude to join in that kind of communion that they crave. Parents who complain that their children won't talk to them are usually people that don't talk to each other. The same is true even if you have no children. Every relationship is initiated by conversation, and every relationship is sustained by it. Language is the house of being, as Heidegger says, and that's true. If there are mansions which have been made into shacks by silence, well, there are simple dwellings that feel palatial because of the sound of life inside of them. Remember we sat next to a family, a bunch of kids, and I wanted to watch those kids, like the parents were there. One kid was crying. Obviously, there was something really, really wrecked. They had painted faces. I don't know where they were going or why they were there, but I wanted to watch them because they were doing something that I just loved hearing that activity. They must have gone to a party or something, right? It must have been something like that. And they seemed to have resolved whatever problem they had. The kids were on top of the back of that truck, and they were, I just didn't understand where it was going to go or whatever, but I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to at least see it. And then it ended. And that's because there was something of value going on there between the parents, between the kids, everybody else, and even us who were inside looking out at them. Now that was worth something. Human speech is neither cheap nor small. Wordsworth used to precede his discourse with his friend. Tell me, he'd say, what has come clear to you since we last met? Just imagine a world where human conversation could be that valued as much again. Imagine the words that are important, sharing them in that richness. Remember the Andy Griffith Show? You remember that? Well, it's still on. You can watch it on some kind of station. And the conversation among all the people in the show, from Andy to Aunt B to Howard Sprague, the accountant, to Opie, to Barney, to Gomer, to Goober Pyle, to Floyd the barber, and on down the line. Well, I would give anything to be on one of those porches on some Sunday afternoon, just after they had Sunday dinner, after they had church in the morning, just to rock in those rocking chairs and rediscover the lost art of conversation. Sometimes all we're looking for in this life is a word from somebody, a word of reassurance, a word of forgiveness, a word of reconciliation. Yes, my friends, it's authentic as a life worth talking about. So after so many years, I must say, taking the time to talk to each other about it makes it even more authentic. It's time to get off the couch and get back to the dining room table. And why? Because we cannot live without the sound of each other. Thank you.